Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Happy Sunday, y'all. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everything's going your way. Hope you got some time out in the shop to make some chips. I got time out in the shop, got the final parts of my dust collector knock on wood, uh, here yesterday and started doing some actual cutting and everything coming in from the lean-to into here. I still need to drill and then run the duct work and everything through the wall, then up the ceiling and over, and then that'll be set and ready. So here's hoping. I'm hoping to have that up and running by tomorrow. And just for anybody's who's never tried it, just for your information, your education, a 6-inch hole saw on a variable speed drill is an experience. It really is. It's real easy to go too fast. You have to go slow with that big of a hole saw, and it's real easy to go too fast. But that puppy will buck all over the place on you if you're not careful. So I don't think I have it. Yes, I do have it right here. So this is on my corded 1/2-inch scale drill. So you can see how big that puppy is. I mean, we're talking serious hole saw here, but you have to be gentle with it. You can't run very high RPM. So, all right, set that out of the way. But other than that, I'm finally ready to go. I should have that at least through and hopefully plumbed up tomorrow. Then, thank the Lord, that's finished. On top of that, been doing a bunch of other work. Got a had a flatbed trailer that I needed to strip down to the bare frame. Got it stripped down. Discovered a big old crack in the frame. I'm debating on whether or not I want to get it welded up or just sell it to somebody that wants to use it for another project. I really don't know which way I'm going to go. It's going to depend on if I can get new wheel bearings for this axle. I can't find any identifying marks on the axle. So I'm going to have to pull the cap off and check the bearings, see if I can get a part number off of them and cross-reference them. But yeah, if it's not worth it, I'll sell it to somebody who thinks it is, because I'm not going to buy a new axle for this. So anyway, Chris says that could definitely twist your arm pretty good with a hole that large. Yes, sir, it can. And Bill says, and hang on to it. Well, you have to, because you're just along for the ride, you know. and not only that, remember, does anybody else have this? Do you get, I don't know if it's anxiety paralysis or what, but all of a sudden it'll start jumping and you forget you can let go of the trigger. It's that simple. I caught myself doing that a couple of times and I'm like, wait a minute, just let go. All right, now back off slowly and then proceed. But it'll jump around on you if you're not careful. So, let's see here. We have a couple of questions. Let's deal with this one real quick because it is a real easy answer. Have I ever cut, Dan Goris wants to know, have I ever cut G11? No, I have not. Now, that's a composite if I'm not mistaken. And from what I understand, it's pretty abrasive. I'm not. I've never cut it. No, I haven't. But from what I understand, you better have a good dust collection or be able to flood it. And I don't know if that's an option. I don't know its waterproof properties, but it raises a bunch of dust from what I gather, and it's extremely abrasive. I've not cut G10 or G11, so I really can't help you there. It is, Brooks. It's a fiberglass substrate, but it's pretty abrasive from what I gather. I've never. Okay, Dan says, yeah, it's resin and fiberglass mat. No, I've never cut it. I've not cut any FRP or anything like that either. I've not had the need to. Um, I mean, I'll just say that again, practice on some scrap until you get the right feeds and speeds. I don't know if anybody over on the CNC zone has gotten into that. I'm sure somebody over there has. If you're not familiar with the CNC zone, it's a message forum. If you just Google CNC zone, you'll find it, and then go over and uh, do a search within the CNC zone for G10, G11, G12, and see if anybody's got any recommendations there. And if not, then by all means join and ask your questions there. There's a lot of knowledgeable folks there uh, in terms of CNC, just as a general topic, and CNC machining, CNC plasma, and CNC woodworking. So, and plus plastics and phenolics and things like that. So I'm sure that somebody will have some help for you. Yeah, John, I saw that. I watched it this morning. I didn't get a chance to see it live yesterday, but I did watch the replay this morning, and I saw that Dan had asked the question over there. So, um, Mark Rolls suggested trim router with a circle jig would be easier. Yeah, if I had a circle jig for my trim router, it might be, but I've already got this. So, I've already gone through the back wall of the lean-to and into the exterior wall of the shop shed. I just have to go through the inside wall of the shop shed. And the pilot hole is already there. I'm just going to drill through from this side. So, it's no big deal. Yes, I reload and shoot. Yes, I know those 6-inch hole saws were made for cutting holes in drywall for can lights. Yes, I know, but I can tell you right now that it goes through T111 very well, as well as smart sighting, LP sighting. Okay, let's see here. We have some questions. Let me get into them here. Norm Peterson would like folks, if you have an answer, I have my opinions. If you have an answer, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat. Norm wants to know, what's the wood most people like to carve when doing a lot of text? Size is 0.2 inches high, so not quite a quarter of an inch. Let's see, what would that be in metric? So we're looking at 0.2. We're looking at about 5 millimeters high on the text. Excuse me. Personally, it depends on what you're looking for as far as the project is concerned. If you want kind of a pale, lighter color material, hard maple is good. And birch can be good. If you're looking for darker materials, sapele and walnut are excellent. The one thing that I would suggest, however, is don't try to carve text that small in really highly figured woods, because with grain going in many directions at the same time, that can lead to chip out and losing like the inside of the letter A, that little pyramid shape, that little triangle there, or to a lesser extent an O. but you can lose some small details if you've got a highly figured wood. Having said that, a lot of people have had very good success with highly figured woods. Um, tend to look for the plainest grain I can get away with, and the straightest even grain that I can get away with. Unless it's just absolutely impossible, then it's kind of roll of the dice. You pays your money, you take your chances. Marvin says walnut and ipe. I've got some ipe, but I've not tried to carve it yet. I really need to, but ipe will freak you out if you're not ready for it. Um, uh, Ipe is a dark wood. It's kind of it's an orangish brown. It's gorgeous stuff. It's really dense, but it's got a very high silica content, and it'll dull tools like that. But what'll freak you out about it is when you cut it or sand it, the dust is bright yellow. I mean, almost glow in the dark yellow. And if you're not ready for that, you'd be like, what's going on? Are the pine trees shedding pollen, or what's going on here? And that kind of freaked me out. But it's beautiful. So let's see here. Martin Peterson says at that size, the font is going to make a big difference. That is true as well. Not all fonts are equal or created equal. Um, Especially if they've got a lot of stylized swoops and what have you in irregular shapes. You know, I'm not suggesting a sans serif or a block face type, but do be careful. And again, practice on some scrap, you know, if you can. So, Norm Peterson says losing the center of the letter A is always a problem. Yeah, and lowercase e as well. So, let's see here. Let's get into some of the other questions here. Chris, I think Chicoselli, Chicatelli. If I butchered your name, I apologize. Saying the wrong word is my thing. It's what I do. You've got a loaded question here. How can I make a hand drawing from Vectric into something I can carve 3D? Number one, do you have VCarve or Aspire? Because if you have VCarve, you can't. You need 3D modeling software. VCarve Desktop and VCarve Pro are not 3D modeling software, never have been. As far as I know, never will be. You will need Aspire. I'm guessing I have to make it a component somehow, can't figure out how to do it. Again, that requires Aspire. You cannot do it in VCarve. I downloaded the locomotive from the Design and Make site, but it didn't have any smoke. I'm trying to make some smoke come out of the smokestack, but can't figure out how to make it 3D to match the locomotive. You can kind of cheat in that if you look in the clip art, you may find some clouds that are parts of other models. Look for clouds, and you can kind of stretch and elongate them to make what appears to be smoke. But I see now you have VCarve Desktop. No, you cannot create a 3D uh, component in VCarve. And thank you, Chris. I do apologize. Chickatelli. Okay, gotcha. Um, yeah, you will need Aspire to do it, but again, get into the clip art. And I'm not sure what clip art comes with VCarve Desktop, but there may be a model in there in the clip art that looks like a cloud or looks like smoke that you could modify and distort, stretch it out to make it look like a trail of smoke. Other than that, you're looking at some form of 3D modeling software, and there are many, many, many out there. Blender, for example, that you could create it with and then import it, export from Blender as an STL, then import it into VCarve. But do know you can only import one STL into VCarve unless you get sneaky and follow Michael Mazalik's example. And there's a link to Michael Mazalik's YouTube channel in all of these live streams down in the description. He has a series on importing more than one STL into VCarve. And it does work, but it's, it's shaky, but it does work. See. Steve Russell is asking to me, a fairly simple question. He wants to know how to switch the sides in the software. See, on a two-sided project, how do you easily switch the sides 1 to 2 and 2 to 1? So you have artwork on the top and artwork on the bottom, and you want to switch the sides, I'm assuming. Easiest way would be to, for instance, on your bottom side, move all that artwork to a separate layer. Then take all the artwork that's on the top side, select it, right click. One of the selections is move to other side. And click on that. Then go to your bottom side, turn off that layer, turn on the layer you put all of your bottom side artwork on. Select it, right click, move to other side. So if that was too much, I don't have a two-sided project. Well, let me find a two-sided project here. Let me do something here. We'll make that full screen so you can see. And I'll bring up my other, there we go, since it's taller. I'll just create a circle here and a circle there, close. So that's on my top. So now I go over to the bottom and I've got a rectangle here and a rectangle here. Then I later decide that I need this rectangle on the top and this circle on the bottom. So what I would do is select it, move to layer, new layer, and I'll just call that layer 2. Then turn off that layer so I don't get it confused. Then that needs to stay there, so I'll leave it alone. I'll switch over to the top and right click, move to other side is my bottom selection here. Move to other side, now it's on the other side. Then I can come back over and turn layer 2 back on. Right click, move to other side. So I've moved these two from the, this one from the front to the back, and this one from the back to the front. I hope that makes sense. And the reason I say put it on another layer is that way you don't accidentally select it and move it to the opposite side. Is that what you were talking about, Steve? Okay, got it. All right, perfect. Okay, terrific. Okay, let's go ahead and select all of that. Whoops. Go ahead and select all of that and delete. And we'll switch over to the bottom. select all of that and delete. Go back over to the top, and then I'll get back in to your questions here. Let's see. Chip Frappier says, for Chris Ciccatelli, in VCarve desktop clip art, there is a helmet plume that may work. There you go. There you go. John Lyons says you can't distort 3D components in VCarve. No, but you can stretch them and scale them. You can reduce the height, stretch out the length, and do a little bit of manipulation in that way. No, you really can't take something round, stretch it down into an oval, and then shape it like an S. No, you can't do that. You can in Aspire, but not in VCarve Desktop. Let's see here. Some more questions here. John says, in VCarve Pro, trying to do two-sided ship's wheel 1.5 thick so that the spindles are round. The program tries to do the model in full thickness on one side. Tried setting the thickness to 0.75, but it still says the model exceeds the thickness. Any ideas? Yeah, what we would do would be come over here into Aspire, and when you go over into your material setup over here in your toolpath tab, click on the set button, and right now I have a model thickness of 0 because I don't have a model here. Okay, but you could click on that set button and enter the model thickness you want. This is separate and distinct from the properties, but you could set that to, in your case, you click on set, you could set that new height to 0.75. Then it's ghosted out because I don't have a model out here, but then you would click apply. Then you would see that model thickness change over here, and your gap above or below will change as well. And you will have to manually close it as well. But try that over here in material setup. It's just as you go into your toolpath tab, it's right up here at the top, material setup. So if that's any help at all. Let's see here now, if I got anything else coming along. Let's see here. Marvin Mays wants to know, can you make a wavy flag in VCarve Pro? You can make any 3D object, just about any 3D object in VCarve Pro, but you can't create the 3D model. You have to import the 3D model. So you would have to get hold of a STL file of the wavy flag that you want. Then you can import it and scale it to your width, height, and thickness that you want, and add any artwork that you want to add to it. If you want to VCarve a patch or a badge or something, or an insignia of something like that, get all that taken care of on it, and then carve it. But you can't create the flag because that's 3D, and VCarve is not a 3D modeling software. Now let's see. Greg Sullivan says, good afternoon, everyone. Mark, I was wondering, is it possible to create toolpaths from an STL file with VCarve Pro? Yes. I have STL files for guitar bodies and necks, or are there some good videos? I have 2 videos on how to import STL files into VCarve, one for older versions, and then a new one for version, I want to say version 11 and newer, because it did change. The import screens did change. I just wrote myself a note. I will link both of my videos, down in the description of this video as soon as I'm finished live. But I would also encourage you to go ahead over to Michael Mazalik's YouTube channel. And again, there's a link to it down in the description of all of these Sunday live streams. And check him out. He is the 3D guru. He is my 3D Obi-Wan. I'm here to tell you. Got a hold of him earlier this week or late last week, and had a question for him, and boom. I mean, he had it to me within, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes maybe. The man is just a master. I'm here to tell you. So I would definitely subscribe to his channel. He doesn't post a lot. He's a very, very busy man, but you will find a lot of good quality content over there. I'm here to tell you. But let's see. Cruise back up here and see if there are any. Yeah, Robert Dymock says, I built my deck out of ePay, went through several biscuit cutting blades and chop saw blades. Yeah, it's wicked stuff. It'll dull a tool real quick. It'll dull a tool real fast. It's got a real high silica content, as I said. So, Dan Neal says, I got Aspire to begin with, cry once theory. Well, true. But that's one of the beautiful things about Vectric and their business model is that okay, let's say you have VCarve Desktop or VCarve Pro, whichever. If you go to upgrade to the next level up, say you want to go from VCarve Desktop to VCarve Pro, you don't pay full price, the full VCarve Pro price. You pay an upgrade price, which is the difference in what you paid for VCarve Desktop and the retail price of VCarve Pro. So you do end up paying a total of the VCarve Pro price, but they credit you with what you've already spent. And that helps. I mean, it helps big time. So, and if you are into 3D modeling at all, or even cases like this where you're trying to make the waving flags, and maybe you want to make 2, 3, 4 different types, then Aspire is definitely what you need. Now, having said that, there are other 3D programs out there, 3D modeling programs out there, but I'm not an expert with any software, but I am an expert on trying to learn software. I was introduced to AutoCAD and the PC in the same week in 1997. Okay. So I have tried various different software titles, and I have to say that Vectric has the gentlest learning curve I've ever experienced. Things are laid out where you think they would be laid out. They're not hidden in behind 15 different menus. And if you're used to using VCarve, Chris says, is Aspire an upgrade from VCarve? Yes, it is. If you're used to using VCarve and you upgrade to Aspire, everything you have ever done in VCarve is still done the same way in Aspire. All the controls are in the same places, all the menus are in the same places, and all of your VCarve files can be opened in Aspire. So you don't lose anything. You just gain the 3D modeling capability. And I get it. I know that's a big chunk of change that's a large check to write. But I don't know. I kind of went the same way with Dan, buy once, cry once, and it paid for itself the first year. So and if you're operating as a business, it's deductible. So, yeah. Let's see here. Or do we have any other questions? I think I worked through them all. Holy cow. Okay. I don't see him in the chat this week, but for the last 2 weeks, we've had somebody who was trying to use a zero plane on both sides of a two-sided project. And I know I saw you folks in the chat saying, bake it and then export it and then import it. Bake it, then export it, then import it. And that does work. Um, I hesitate to go ahead and show it now. Well, heck with it. I'll go ahead and show it now. Let's get over here. Go back over to my modeling tab. And the example he was using was he wanted a dish on both sides of his project. So, okay, I will get right back to you, Steve. I see what you're talking about. You will have to, no, you will have to recalculate all the tool paths. I'm sorry. You will have to recalculate everything. It won't swap tool paths side for side. Okay, so let's go with this here we're on the top, and that'll work. I'm not going to resize anything or anything like that. We'll just go into the modeling tab, and I'll change the combine mode to subtract because he wanted a dish. And we'll get into the properties, and I'm going to change the shape height to a 1/2 inch, 0.5. Let it catch up, close. Then I'm going to look at my 3D view, and I have my dish. Now I can add my zero plane here. And the zero plane basically is used to fill in all of these rough edges here. And that's what he was most concerned with, was to fill in all the rough edges of the dish here. Now, please remember, I'm on the lowest resolution settings, just so to make things go quickly here in video, because we don't want to sit here and wait 5 minutes for this to render. Now, from here, everybody said bake the components together. And you're absolutely right. Select them both, come up here and bake them together into one component. Okay. And how did it do that? Why did it suddenly go that way? It shouldn't have. Combine mode is subtract. Why am I getting that? Okay, combine mode add. Fine. Terrific. All right. Now I can take that baked component, model, export as 3D clip art. And I'm just going to put it on my desktop, and I will call it dish zero plane, and save it. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and just close that file out. Now I'll create a new file, double-sided, same size material, same everything else. Click OK. And now I want to go over to the clip art, and I want to import this to the bottom side. I'll go to local files, navigate to my desktop folder right here. Double click, go to my 3D view, and there is that file. And I already just messed up. Let me go back over here, and I will delete that. I want to switch over to the bottom and import that. So I'll put it on the bottom. All right. Now I'm fine. Go back into the library browser, switch over to the top of the material, go into my 2D view, double click, and I will put that over here. And again, go into the modeling tab, combine mode, subtract, and then properties, reduce that height to 0.5, let it catch up, close. Now in the 3D view, it's going to look odd. It's going to look really odd. For some reason, this wants to project cutting all the way through in the 3D view. I don't know why. I do not know why. But if I come over here and create a finishing tool path using the model boundary and a 1/4 inch ball nose, calculate, and preview that tool path. There is my dish. Flip over to the bottom, close, 3D finish tool path, not changing anything, model boundary, calculate. I'll just preview all sides, that way it does everything. And now I have the dish on both sides of the project with those jagged edges filled in, just as if I were going to, just as if I had put a zero plane on both sides. So basically everybody that was saying to bake the two models together, then export them as a single component, a piece of clip art, were absolutely right. That is how to get that done. It was easy to put a dish on both sides. It's not easy to get that zero plane to fill in those jagged edges. So by doing the two, the zero plane and the dish, on one side, then baking them together as a single component, then exporting it, all of this is Aspire only, because I don't think bake is an option in VCarve, and I don't have VCarve on this computer, so I can't check. I don't think bake is an option in VCarve. So again, time to upgrade to Aspire if you're looking at doing something like this. But baking it together, then exporting it as clip art or export it as an STL, then import it to the bottom side so that you can put a, let me go back to a straight Z view. So you can put the zero plane on the top side. It does work. So hope that answers that. And I don't see the gentleman in the chat. If you're watching on replay, yes, it does work. And now I'll bet you I'll see him next week, and I'll have to tell him to come back and watch this. So, okay, Steve Russell was saying he did fix the file, his two-sided job, got all the artwork swapped side for side, but it didn't move the tool paths. What I was wanting was an easy way to rename the sides so everything moved together. No, the tool paths will not swap sides. They will not trade sides. I'm sorry, you will have to recalculate everything. I wish there was an easy way to move a tool path from one side to another. I know that people are asking for that ability. And they're also asking the ability to copy a toolpath and move it to another sheet. So the more of us that ask for this kind of thing, the more likely Vectric is to respond to that and put it in, a later version. I mean, it's too late to put it in 11.5. I'm sure they're more than halfway through programming version 12, or developing version 12 rather. But send their support an email asking for, and this is important because they do listen. All of their upgrades and updates that they put into the new versions come from us, the users. They want to know what we want and where and how we want it. So if you ask for the ability to copy a toolpath over to another sheet or copy a toolpath over to the other side, the more people that ask for it, you know how it goes. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. The more people that ask for it, the more likely they are to go ahead and do it. So let's see here. Does anybody else have any questions at all? Um, let's see. Let's see. No, I'm not seeing any more questions. Um, okay, Brooks Martin says Amana Tools has a 46110 end mill point diamond pattern composite cutting shank for fiberglass. Okay, we're back on the G10, 11, 12 question. Yeah, I would look for composite cutting bits, to Brooks Martin's point, because Amana is not the only manufacturer, I'm sure, but let's see. George Navarre wants to know, do you have to pay for the upgrade after 2 years? Yeah. Yes, basically. So what they say is if you purchase, let's say you purchase 11.5 now, and next month they come up with 12.0, they will give you a free upgrade. So Steve Hastings says the toolpath template function allows easy copying of toolpaths. Yes, but what we're talking about is in the case of a two-sided project, a toolpath was calculated on the top. He wanted to copy that toolpath over to the bottom and probably have to recalculate it. But there's no way of, say, copying and pasting a toolpath or copying it over from the top of a two-sided project to the bottom, or copy a toolpath from sheet 1 over to sheet 2, even if they're identical sheets. So that's what he was talking about. Yes, toolpath templating comes in very handy. Very handy. And that's especially true if you associate a particular artwork with a layer. You have artwork. I'm trying to think of an example here. V-carve artwork, and you've created a toolpath template for that artwork. You can go back and change the text, recalculate it, and boom, go. So yes, toolpath templates come in very handy, as do file templates. And the beauty about them is you can't overwrite them. You can't mess them up. The only way you can mess up a template file is if you delete. Oh, you're not into metal yet, but I'm looking for a good video on cutting aluminum, i.e. bits, feeds, speeds, etc. If anybody has any reference for Dave, feel free to put them in the put them in the chat now. I'm not a metal guy. I'm a wood guy. I've always thought there was a little bit of voodoo involved in machining metal because I'm used to a 1/16 of an inch builder's tolerance. Having, tolerances that ding dong tight is just like my tape don't have lines that small. So I've always thought there was a little bit of voodoo on that. But if there is any, if there are any, well, there you go. Talk to my buddy Bull Shanigan. Believe he's been a machinist for about, 20, 30 years, something like that. So talk to him. Yeah. So Russell Faraday says, why you copy toolpaths? Just flip the stock the right way and run the side one toolpath again. Well, yeah, but if you're trying to swap certain artwork over to one side and other artwork back over to the other side, you've already got the toolpaths calculated. It would be nice to be able to copy those toolpaths over. Yeah, you can recalculate them. That's great. But much like there's a way to move that artwork over with one or two clicks, it would be nice to be able to move those toolpaths over with one or two clicks. That's all. So let's see. I know I said that real cavalierly. Talk to Bull. Hit him up on Facebook. Bull Shanigan on Facebook. 36 years machining experience. And he can set you straight. While I've got Bull here, let's just say that if you're not, he runs a tidy little Keebler tree over on Facebook called The Make, M-A-K-E, very easy. The Make. It's a neat little group. He does a lot of community challenges. He does a lot of live casts. In fact, he's going to be doing one Monday morning, a live stream on Facebook. It's a fun group. It's a fun group of people to chat with. Some very, very talented people in there. Some absolute wizards with CNC, 3D, 2D, um, wood, metal, acrylic, phenolics, whatever you want to get into. Very interesting group. So just if you're on Facebook, get over there and join The Make and then hit up Bull. He will hook you up. Norm Peterson says, on the bowl, can I put the two on top of each other as a bowl with a base? You can, so long as they don't interfere with each other in the middle. You got to figure out what kind of thickness you want in the center of that material. And yeah, you could put let's say you have 3/4 inch thick material. You could put a 1/4 inch dish on top and a 1/4 inch dish on bottom, and you'll have a 1/4 inch in the middle. Yeah, that you can do that. So, and Steve just put a link to the Make there in the chat. So there it is. If you want Bull, I'd be more than happy to put a link to the Make in the description of this video as soon as I'm done live, so that folks can get over to Facebook and join. Just let me know if you would like for me to do that, and I'm more than happy to. Won't take but a second, especially since Steve has done all the legwork. And my buddy John C., the scroll saw artist extraordinaire, joining in from Canada. Finally made it. Well, if you're going to be late, John, you could call. It's only the nice thing to do. So as you can tell, I've run out of things to talk about. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in there. Okay, Bull, consider it done. As soon as we're finished with going live here, I will link the Make down in the description of this video. And all y'all, get over there on Facebook and join up with the Make. I mean, it is a good bunch of people. So Yeah, Wade Custons, come over to the dark side, John. I think John wants as little to do with CNC as possible. I mean, he's an excellent scroll saw artist. I mean, some of the stuff he's done is just, holy cow, you did that on a scroll saw? But John also works for a sign company. So I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he knows more about CNC than I do. So Lowell Posey wants to know, are there any bits for using on stone? That I cannot say yes, no, or maybe about. I'm sure there are, because I mean, just if you look in, I hate to say it, um, if you look at the cemetery industry, and it is, I'm sure some of them are sandblasted in or sand carved in, but I'm also sure that some of the artwork is carved. I would imagine it would have to be a wet system to keep the dust down and to keep the heat down, because you are talking about a lot of heat buildup, and marble doesn't like heat, not that intense. But yeah, there are diamond bits made for cutting stone, but I think it's going to be more than just the actual burr or uh, the tool. I'm sure that you were going to need a flood type of coolant system on it. So Wade says there was one for sale here a while ago. Yeah. There's that's pretty specialized, very specialized. Michael Mazalik says diamond bits and a lot of coolant for stonework. Yeah. Now, Michael, I didn't know that you had done that kind of work. I've seen a lot of your work, but I never saw any of the stone. Are we talking about a flood coolant, kind of similar to a metal coolant, or is there a special coolant for like marble or travertine or whatever, slate, whatever the person happens to be carving? That's always been fascinating to me, but I've never gotten into it, because that's another rabbit hole. That's a specialty that I just don't want to. I mean, it's fascinating, but it's another specialty I don't want to start down that rabbit hole. Same with metal. I mean, I want to make two things I can think of out of aluminum. I just haven't gotten there yet. But when I do, believe me, everybody will know it. So, let's see. Wade says, I bet it makes plasma CNC look clean. That's the other problem. Um, I know a few people who do woodworking and do um, metalworking, and every single one of them agrees that metalworking is by far the dirtiest of them all. And I could see how carving in stone could give it a run for its money. So, okay, Michael says, I do 3D models for others that cut stone, but they use water flood method. Okay, yeah. Yeah, ma'am. Uh, okay, Lowell says, I thought there was a dry bit to do it. They have saw blades that are, yeah, but you're not going to get the kind of RPMs out of a saw blade that you are with a router or spindle. When you think about it, most spindles that don't have an auxiliary fan on them that for cooling, or well, I don't know about water cooled spindles, so I can't speak for water cooled spindles, but if you have an air cooled spindle, you're still going to be a lot faster and a lot higher than any saw blade. And it's just, that's just the nature of the tool. A bit's going to spin a lot faster than a blade is going to spin. So, Let's see here. You look at a diamond blade, a diamond masonry blade for an angle grinder. That's probably the closest I can think of as far as anything handheld that doesn't require a coolant. But there's a reason they cool it, and that's to, number one, save wear and tear on the tool. Number two, save an expensive piece of stone. So, okay, it would appear that we are out of questions, and we're right at an hour. So, yeah, Bob, I'm going to put you over on the naughty step with John. If you're going to be late, you could call. So let's see here. Bull asked, "Can you show how to color components?" You mean in the software? I can show a little bit, but let's go ahead and add this to the stream. For instance, on this, I have my material color picked out as medium wood, and the dish, the toolpath color, is going to be, it's set at no fill. The toolpath color is going to be the same as the material. Now I can change that, but because I have a zero plane, this whole surface is part of the model. So if I change that to, let's say, black, well, it will change just that component, but it's changed everywhere the bit has touched the material. You see? So even if it's just made a little scratch here, it's going to color that black. Let's go back in and change that to no fill, just so I can keep it all the same color. Now, if you have several different tool paths, you just simply click on one, and remember, highlighted like this means selected. And then you come up here, put the dot next to toolpath color, and you can set your color there. If that's what you were asking, Bull. Okay. Let's see. Brooks Martin says, I reached out to a UK company a couple weeks ago about the Stone V bits. Still waiting to hear back. Yeah, that might be a tall order. Let me go ahead and reset this preview, and no, I won't do it in this one. I'll do it in my other session of Aspire. We'll get a few things up here. Let's say I've got a rectangle here, rectangle here, close, and a circle. Whoops. Nah, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. All right. Well, what can I say? I'll just move them around manually and get this right here. Okay, so we've got 4 different tool paths. Do this one. Let's cut it 0.125, and we're gonna carve on the vector with a 90-degree V-bit. Okay, and we'll edit the passes. I wanted to do it in one pass for this demonstration. Okay, cutting on the vector, yada, yada, yada. That's good. Calculate profile 1, and I'm going to set that tool path color to black. All right, close, 2D view, grab this one. Another profile, exact same settings, edit passes, one pass, and calculate, and that tool path is selected. I will select the tool path color. We'll make that one plum. Don't know why, just will. Calculate, or this tool path, same thing, profile, and not change anything. Edit passes 1, okay. Calculate, and then just because I'll pocket this out with a 1/8" end mill. And for this demonstration, we'll do it in one pass. Calculate, and we'll change that toolpath color to sea green. Profile 3, I didn't set a color. Let's do that one red. There we go. So I've got 4 different toolpaths, 4 different colors. Preview all toolpaths, and when they're created, each one of them comes up in that color. So if that's what you were asking for, Bull, there's the easy way to do it. So it is a rectangle, John. It was off by about 0.2 of an inch. It's taller than it is wide. So, in fact, let's confirm just to make sure. I'll select it. Maybe you're right. 3.6 by 3.6. Give the man a cigar. You're absolutely right, but it's still a rectangle. So there you go. Let's see. Exactly. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, I think we've gotten all of that. Okay, Bull says the components such as the eagle flag example from Mike. I would have to see that file. I would have to see that file. So, in the strictest sense, Ayal, yes. Yes. Now overlap them. Boy. Okay, Michael Mazalik is saying, yes, you can change the component color in the component properties. That I did not know. Let's jump back over here. And I don't have any 3D models. I do in this one. So let's close the preview, jump back over here, and let's look at this component in the properties. Shape, height, fade. There it is. Appearance. There's the color. Wow. I did not know. Same as parent solid color, use the material color from Chill. I did not know that, Michael. Thank you. There it is right there. I'm going to have to get in and play with that. I'm going to have to get in and play with that. I did not know you could do that. I never paid attention to that down there. Wow. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Let's remove that. So, let me dig into that, Michael and Bull, and I'll play with that a little bit. Maybe I can come up with a model that'll demonstrate that pretty well, and we can go at it next week. Speaking of next week, I hope to have the dust collector up and running. I may or may not be able to get the toolpath tiling video done. Probably not. So let's count on another open Q&A next week, and I'm going to shoot for the week after to have the toolpath tiling video done and posted, which will quickly be followed by a video on the lean-to, hopefully, and get that going and get on with other projects that I have. I really want to get into some inlays. I really want to get into some end grain inlays. Excuse me, holy cow. And I've got some projects I've got to get done. They're piling up again. So, thank you everybody for hanging with me. I will get these links put into the um, I'll get these links put into the description just as soon as we're finished live here. You missed everything, Tom. You missed everything. What can I say? Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for sharing out my videos and my live streams. Members, tomorrow we got some stuff. Michael Mazalik was kind enough to give me some instruction, and you're going to like it. You're going to like it. So don't forget to hit the community tab for the link to tomorrow's members only live stream. And I hope to see you there. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, if you would like some information on how to become a channel member, click the join button down there next to the subscribe button. A panel will pop up and a video will play, tell you all about channel membership. I think that's it. That's everything. So go do something cool. Go make some chips. Get out into the shop. We got a few hours left. It's not quite dinner time. Maybe we can get something done. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks again. And y'all take care.